Writing articles in short pieces has its rewards, but for any writer, nothing beats seeing a book with his or her name on the cover. Well, the name of today's show is entitled, I Want to Be an Author, and it was created for many of you who want to publish your work and become one. So my guest today is Karen Presley. She joins me to talk to us about how the process, or what the process is like to become an author. She is herself a businesswoman, entrepreneur, and an author herself. So with that, we say good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Tamika.
Yeah, it's nice having you here on the morning show, and specifically talking about this process of becoming an author, which I think for a lot of people can be quite intimidating. Do you think?
It is intimidating for a lot of people. A lot of us just don't know. And I used to hear so many people talking about, how do you do it? And a lot of time we wait for someone to tell us, or you're intimidated or fearful, or just the fact of whatever you don't know will cause us to stop, so we do nothing. And I tell people all the time, whatever is in you that won't go away, year after year after year, it's because you have to give birth to it. And we stop based on what we don't know. And so, be honest with you, it's not hard at all. And that's why I even teach self-publishing one-on-one, just to show people or give people the knowledge they need to move forward.
Wonderful. Well, definitely, I think a lot of us have have thought about the idea and thought it was a great idea, but have stopped when we actually have the pen in our hand.
Exactly.
And so we'll talk about this point that I'm about to make in a little later in the program, but the fact that most of us think that when we write, we have to be so correct.
Right.
And so, the grammar has to be amazing. We'll talk about that later on in the program, but definitely want to talk about your background first.
Okay.
Where do you originate from?
From Washington, D.C., but I live in Maryland since I was 4. So Temple Hills, Maryland, PG County.
All right, and now you are, like I said in the beginning, an entrepreneur, businesswoman. Let me just tell you, doing her thing about town. You not only have a publishing company, but you have quite a few others. Could you explain what you do?
I'm a pastor of Church of Zion Deliverance Ministries. I'm a founder of a 501c3, which is called Daughters of Zion Empowerment Center. I have a graphics, printing, book publishing, and a website company. And I'm also a speaker. So I have Karen Presley Ministries, where I go out and speak, but also I'm a certified life coach. I am a workshop facilitator. So I teach on like building your business beyond a hobby, self-publishing, birthing your dreams, different things like that. And so my whole goal, or my whole desire, is to empower people to move forward into their destinies by overcoming the cycles from their past. And it's a lot of things, whether it's from the business arena or the spiritual arena, it's overcoming us so we can move forward.
Yeah, and not only all of that, but you are an author as well. Of how
And
many
I'm an
books?
author. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books.
So when do
And
you
I have
sleep?
more coming out of me.
So the question is, when do you sleep, or when do you have time for yourself?
I tell people I'm very balanced. I go to bed the same time every night. I don't stay up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning trying to get all this stuff done. A lot of things I can do is at my shop, because my shop became the platform where God started exposing me, releasing me, and where ministry takes place. So I don't have to run all over the place, but I am operating my gift, and I have the gift of administration. So I'm very balanced, and also I'm a multitasker.
Wow, you have to have at least 8 arms when you work, doing all of that, functioning in all of your businesses, which is amazing. Not only that, but you help guide people to write books too.
Yes.
Which is a part of your publishing platform.
Right.
So
I tell people a lot of time when people come, when I'm teaching a class, sometimes there are people who know how to write, but just don't know where to go after that. Some people may know the publishing aspect, but are not really sure about how to get started. We're not motivated, or we got so much going on in our lives. So I really start talking about the whole aspect of what it means to be a writer, what it means to be a scribe. And I tell people all the time, in actuality, it's just about being visual. We all have a different flavor. So it's no A, B, C, D when it comes to writing. We all have a different style. We all have a different flavor, regardless if you have a children's book. Some people may have a testimonial book. Some people may have a self-help book or autobiography, different things like that. So no matter what's on the inside of you, I tell people when it comes to writing, be visual. Some of us can be vague, or you know what you want to say, and you know what you're thinking, but you have to begin to expound and bring people into your story. So what happens is when you're writing, no matter if it's self-help, testimonial, or autobiography, you want to write where I make you feel me. You know, if the day was a nice day when you woke up, it's about visualizing and bringing the person from A to Z. So what happens is when you are visualizing, I'm not just saying I just woke up today. I'm bringing you into I want you to feel what I feel.
Right. So
I want you to taste what
colors,
I taste. Exactly.
The mood.
Exactly.
All of those things. So as a writer, as an author, we should be thinking about the reader.
You always think with the reader in mind.
Okay.
Because they're your audience. They're your platform. They're the ones, and you never know who you're going to touch. And so sometimes, you know how we always say, oh, well, I don't have to say that. That means you need to say it. You know,
so go with your gut.
Go with your gut. Go with your first thought, because we're the ones who we sugarcoat, or we sugarcoat our story, or we think about how's somebody else going to feel. And I tell people all the time, whatever is on the inside of you is going to impact somebody's life. So your story, or whatever it is that you want to share, is going to impact somebody, because if it wasn't, it wouldn't stay with you. And so that's a lot of times why people don't move forward. Oh, it's just me, or ain't nobody gonna care. And those are only just negative thoughts that try to, that's like our opposition, because anything that's worth being given birth to will always have some type of opposition to it, and that's when you gotta press forward. So I'm always talking about, even when it comes from the writing standpoint, painting the picture from A to Z. Don't just say I woke up today, but this is how I was feeling. You know, this is what was going on, because I tell people, even in your testimony, or even in your life story, it's the nuggets, or it's what you learn along the way. It's what you learn in your journey that's going to impact people. And there's nothing too big, but there's nothing too small. And so we all have a voice, because we all have a story, because we all have a journey.
That is amazing and interesting indeed. If you're just joining me, I'm speaking with Karen Presley, who is a businesswoman, entrepreneur, and an author herself. She's here to talk to us today on Good Morning Oakcrest about how to become an author and what the process is like. Not only is she an author, but she also is a owner of a publishing company. So, Karen, you come to us from two different viewpoints. You can look at this entire show or topic from the writer's point of view, as well as the publisher's point of view.
Exactly.
We'll talk about the publishing part in a little bit, but I think folks are really getting stimulated right now about, man, I really can become an author. I think for our population, a lot of folks 60-year-old and over, they have a lot of memoirs, just thoughts that have been written down through times, things that are snippets of their lives. How can they put this kind of work in a book, and what kind of genre would that even be?
Well, to be honest with you, I have a lot of people who have poetry, or just different type of writings. It doesn't have to be spelled out in a chapter per se, you know, a life story, but even different writings, different poems, different snippets, as you call it, can be put into a book. And you know, I have a person, and I was so tremendously blessed by it, but he was 95 years old.
Wow.
And he came to me and he wrote two poem books. And when he came to me, I always had to go out to the car, because they were very old, him and his wife, and he was on a, whatever this is, respirator. And so I did business where every time he came, I'm outside, and I would go outside, and he gave me like a pile of poems that he had written over the years. And first I had to type it, because they was all handwritten. And so I typed this book, but he said he has sold so many books, because just the awesome part about it is it's never too late. And that's why I tell people it's never too late. He left a legacy, even before he passed on. He got 2 books of poems. And so I tell people, because sometimes we'll use that as an excuse, oh, it's too late. But I tell people it's never too late.
In fact, that's really the better part. You know, later on in life can sometimes be a great thing because you have all of this perspective, all of this life well lived
over a lifetime
to tell, you know, so it is never too late.
And he wrote it on so many different topics. You know, it wasn't all one topic, but this is how he felt over the last so many years, and he put it in book form, and he said it's selling.
Wow.
And he's moving forward, and so I applaud him.
Wow, 95 years old. So there are no excuses out there. If you have some works that need to be published, well, I'm telling you, today's show is just for you. In fact, I know a lot of you, in fact, have a lot of work out there that needs to be put in book form. So we'll talk about that process right now. Okay, so I am a writer, or I have been writing things here and there, and I'm saying to myself, I'm ready to put this in book form. What is the process, Karen?
The process is very easy. First of all, there are some people, if you have it handwritten, if you know someone who types, have them to type it. If you don't know anyone who types, when you bring it to the publisher, they would do it, but that's an extra step because it has to be typed first, and then it has to be edited. So there are a lot of people who already come to me, have it already edited. And when I tell people when it comes to edit, I'm not just talking about your girlfriend. You know, sometimes you want to get a professional. Sometimes, you know, you can get someone who's in the school system. And so editing is just as important because that still speaks of you.
Yeah, when you said the school system, what popped to my mind was someone who is a college graduate, graduating in English or grammar or
Teachers,
something like that.
Things like
a teacher or something like that, yeah.
And so editing would be the next process. Have your book edited for grammar. Now, you tell the person, be specific. Do you just want them to edit grammar, meaning, or, you know, misspell words, or do you want to check for content? You know, how does it sound? Because some people write the way they talk. So therefore, it's not or you lose the thought. You know, you said this. So you have to let the person know what is it that I'm looking for, because all that it deals with the cost.
I read a lot of books, Karen, and a lot of times when authors read how they talk, a lot of times that goes with the work that they're doing. So you don't want to have someone, like you said, an editor, who would just kind of tear that apart, because you would be tearing apart the artist, the work.
And that's why art. You have to let them know. This is how I want to just check for misspelled words or grammar. And so after that, then the process is going to the publisher. When you go to the publisher, there are full publishing companies, and then there are self-publishing companies. The difference between the two is a full publishing company, they have to buy into your book, and it costs more money. The full publishing companies is what we started with.
Now you say full as in F-U-L-L?
Full publishing company is when they have to buy into your material. You would send it off to them, they will read it. We want to see if we want to go with this.
So that means the rights to the book too, that they...
You have to read all that.
Okay.
It's very important to read, because some people do sell their rights. The reason why I started teaching self-publishing 101 is because I would have a lot of people saying the same thing. And the comment that everybody would make was, it's not what I thought. And so I started getting, you know, really involved, like, well, what are people saying? And so what happened is that we will present something and we don't know the full detail of what we get into until after we get into it.
Okay, so you're saying that a lot of authors would go to a publishing company with great intention, but the company
based on
would not tell, or it wasn't clear the terms.
It wasn't clear
of the rights,
or you had one perspective in mind without reading all the fine print.
Okay.
And so when it comes to full publishing, the reason why we made self-publishing, not we, but the reason why they came up with self-publishing companies was to give everybody the opportunity to publish a book. Because when it was full publishing companies only, everybody didn't have the money, everybody didn't have, maybe their story didn't touch you enough for you to take it on. So self-publishing companies gave everybody the opportunity across the board to be able to publish a book.
Do you think, Karen, that self-publishing came in existence when the internet became popular, I guess, or mainstream?
Not really sure, because I believe internet maybe within the last several years just became mainstream.
Okay.
You know, everybody's talking about social media, internet, and all that stuff. Self-publishing has been around for a while.
Really?
There's a lot of self-publishing companies. But let me tell you another reason, a difference between self-publishing company. Some people will have lower upfront fees, meaning we'll get you in for $500. That sounds good to the naked ear. However, what you don't realize is on the back end is where they make their money. And what that means is if if I publish you, let's say $500, that sounds good, and we'll give you X, Y, Z. And that's what I mean by it wasn't what I thought. Because if I promise you all these things, I'm going to give it to you. That's true. However, what you don't realize is now every book that you sell has to go through the internet. That means you have to get it from me. We're taking a percentage, which is legal. But also, if you want books printed, we're going to give you a discount off of the retail price. Well, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people can't afford that. So if you're paying $9 a book, because if your book sells for $15, and maybe you're getting a 40% discount, well, you're getting it for $9 a book. If you get 100 books, that's $900. Some people can't afford that. So you have to get a little bit of books. Well, then, depending on the quantity of your books will determine your discount. You with me?
Yeah.
And so what happens, the difference is where I have a higher upfront fee.
Okay.
But you're making all your money on the back end, meaning when I print books, I print what it costs to print the book. So I'm not I'm not giving you a discount. If it costs $4, you get it for $4. If it costs $5, you get it for $5. Now you have the opportunity to have 100 books, all 100 books, whatever you sell, you get 100%.
And tap into the proceeds.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you didn't have to spend so much to make money. However, when it comes to the internet, when it comes to, Amazon, different things like that, when it comes to bookstores, then they're getting a percentage, which is only correct because you're getting books sold that didn't have anything to do with you. And then everything has a fee to it. So that's the difference between self-publishing companies.
So which one is the better of the two? Full publishing or self-publishing?
Self-publishing gives everybody the opportunity to publish.
To make their money.
You don't have to buy into my dream. So self-publishing. Then you also have independent publishers. You have independent printing. And what that means is you have a book on the inside of you. You want to be your own self-publisher. So when you come to a publishing company, because I'm a printing and a graphics person too, I have a lot of people who say, just lay my book out, do my book cover, print it, and I just don't put my name on it. So the product is just it's a graphics and a print.
They just want to use some services of a publishing company.
Without all the stuff that goes with a publishing company. Now the difference with that is because I have some people who are their own publishers but don't know how to do anything. So they'll come to me, lay the book out, print it, do the book cover, put their logo on, they get the ISBN and all those different things. That means all the responsibility is on you. When you come to a self-publishing company, we work on your behalf. So there are things that I'm doing on your behalf that I will always do.
Because that's a part of what you do.
Right. But you're still responsible for selling your book. But we do.
As an author, period?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You're still responsible for selling your book. But as a publishing company now, when I put my name on it, I'm always working on your behalf. Because as long as I'm selling my publishing company, I'm selling you.
All right. Well, we have gotten a lot of information from Miss Karen Presley. We're still going to get some more. After this quick break, we'll talk more with Karen Presley about ways to become an author and to publish that work I know that's out there. So continue watching channel 973. You're watching Good Morning Oakcrest.